Okay. Welcome into the Throwback Thursday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We're coming to you live from the Murphy Center on the campus of Middle Tennessee State University, site of the TSSAA Boys Basketball State Championships. And right now, Tullahoma feels like they're getting ready to take care of Jackson Southside here in this Class 3A quarterfinal matchup. The Wildcats leading the Hawks 62-45 with just under 3 minutes to play in regulation here. And again, I have to say, in regulation in this building, given the events from a couple nights ago. But we're here. We're at the Boys Basketball State Tournament. We got a lot of basketball to talk about throughout this show. In the second hour, we hope to visit with Columbia State men's basketball coach Winston NEAL. The Chargers are on their way out to Hutchinson for the National Junior College Basketball Tournament this weekend. In the next segment, we'll be visiting with Maria Cornelius from Go Vols 24/7. The Lady Vols getting ready to start their 43rd NCAA tournament appearance. That's all of the NCAA tournaments, and UT has been in them. So looking forward to both those guests. We'll be talking some more basketball, a little baseball, some football as well. And there was a heck of a performance in the NBA last night that we're going to talk a little bit about as well. So plenty to get to. Again, it is Throwback Thursday. We'll be throwing it back at the top of the second hour to a recent conversation that we had with Titans analyst Mike Herndon as we consider their moves and perhaps their upcoming moves here in the offseason heading into the draft in mid to late April. So that's what we're looking like. Wade is feverishly working because we are dealing with.
Hey, nobody knows that, Mo.
Never mind.
That's a beauty. Yeah.
Okay, Wade is feverishly working.
I'm feverishly working, trying to figure out how in the world Tullahoma has scored 34 of their 64 off of turnovers. Ooh. They have used their defense to perform their offense here tonight. A commanding performance. All three of our quarterfinals here today in 3A ball have been electric in their own right. And Tullahoma, as you mentioned a moment ago, is well on its way to a win here in the Glass House.
Yeah, and it's been particularly impressive for Tullahoma because they got a 6'9" kid, Austin Tennant, who found himself in some foul trouble and has not been on the floor for a lot of this ball game. But yet, as you said, they're now up 64-45 with a minute and a half to play.
They haven't needed him because Xavier Farrell has gone nuclear. He's following a trend. There have been 2 supernova performances already today. And Xavier is following right in line. He's got 33 points on a 15 of 21 shooting performance thus far. Tullahoma's only attempted 4 three-pointers all night long. They have really used their defense, and they've used quick strike offense to get this big win. Little representation from District 8 AAA here at the Glass House.
Farrell, somebody had asked me about him a couple of weeks ago. Friend of the show, DeJuan Brazelton, had asked me if I had seen him. I had not. I am now. He's the real deal.
He's legit. He's in the mold of a Darren Williams, a little bit on the heftier side. He resembles more of a linebacker than he does a shooting guard, but he uses that to his advantage. He gets downhill, and whenever their dynamite guard Keelan Johnson is not getting to the cup, they rely on Farrell. Tullahoma is a very, very tough team. They've already knocked off Upperman, who has also advanced to the semifinals with their win early this morning. So this is 3A bracket. Could be a lot of fun Friday and Saturday.
Well, they do like their football down in Tullahoma.
They've been known. Talked to Coach Oliver a little bit earlier today. He's pumped. He's proud to represent, and after representing, on the baseball diamond as well this past spring, they're hoping to maybe hoist a banner here, and this is maybe their best chance yet with the guard play of Farrell and then Tennant down low.
Absolutely. We'll be talking more about the state tournament, what we've had earlier, what we had yesterday, as we advance through the show today. So, again, a lot of hoops going on, a lot of hoops to get to. Let's go ahead and dive into it with yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Boys basketball from yesterday, as we mentioned, Chattanooga Prep in Class 1A, the defending 1A state champions, opening defense of that championship with an 84-44 win over Santa Fe. Tough loss for the Wildcats there. In Class 2A, Loretto stayed unbeaten with a 49-34 quarterfinal victory over Liberty Creek. In baseball action from yesterday, Goodpasture with a 4-3 win over Bayside Academy out of Alabama. It was Blackman 9, Rockville 5. Lawrence County with an 11-0 win over Christian Heritage out of Oklahoma. Eagleville defeated Cannon County 8-0. Christ Presbyterian defeated Father Ryan 8-4. Knoxville Carnes with a 5-0 victory over Giles County. Independence defeated Summit 4-1. Laverne with a 4-3 victory over McGavock. Lawrence County picked up a second victory yesterday, downing Metro Christian out of Oklahoma 13-0. Vero Beach from Florida won Mount Juliet 0. Siegel downed Oakland 12-5. Nolensville downed Page 12-5. Ravenwood with a 7-6 win over Centennial. It was Stewart's Creek 5, Riverdale 4. Brighton with a 5-1 win over Smyrna. Stratford with a 20-0 win over Glencliff. It was Oak Ridge 6, White House Heritage 1, and Gallatin defeated Wilson Central 4-0.
In softball action yesterday, Eagleville picked up a 1-0 win versus Community, and Lawrence County downed Benjamin Russell out of Alabama 5-4 was your final there. Summertown takes care of Lawrence County in the second LCHS game of the day. 15-5 was your score in favor of the Eagles there. Santa Fe on top of Spring Hill to cap our softball scoreboard with an 18-3 win over Spring Hill. Men's soccer action, it was Page picking up a 2-1 win versus Oakland. Tough night for Oakland as they also suffered a 4-3 loss to Centennial on the men's lacrosse scoreboard last night. In flag football, busy night of flag football action, and we kick it off with the team right here in Murfreesboro as Murfreesboro Central Magnet picked up a 20-15 win versus Smyrna. Rockvale was a 20-0 victor versus Murfreesboro Central Magnet in the second Magnet game of the evening. Smyrna with the 12-0 win versus Rockvale. Page picks up 2 wins, 20-7 versus Maplewood, 47-0 versus Stratford. Nolensville topping Pearl Cone 13-0. It was Brentwood 27, Whites Creek 20. Brentwood followed that one up with a 19-0 victory versus Hume Fogg.
Also, Independence with a pair of wins yesterday, defeating Overton 27-7. Oh, I'm sorry. I misread that. Independence split 2 games yesterday, defeating Overton 27-7, falling to Pearl Cone 26-19. Fairview with a pair of wins yesterday, defeating Dixon County 33-13 and McEwen 44-12. Ravenwood defeated Lawson 35-0 and Cane Ridge 41-0. Centennial with a 27-7 victory over Glencliff. Also, Hillsborough down Centennial 21-14. Franklin swept a pair, defeating McGavock 13-0 and Martin Luther King 32-0. Summit took 2, defeating East Nashville 19-0 and Hunters Lane 22-0. And finally, in girls flag football, Overton and Nolensville played to a 7-7 tie. In the association, the West Coast continues to be not so kind to Memphis. They fall at Portland 115-99.
Tough one for the Grizz on the road. Was worried about the Blazers getting them, and they did. Good win for Portland as they continue to climb. Let's go to the schedule, and we begin with the game that kicked us off here this morning inside Murphy Center. He didn't do it all by himself, but he got pretty close. Ty Cobb with 29 points of 54 for Upperman as they turn back Hume Fogg. That game never really close and a lot closer than the final score indicated, but good win for the Bees there again, 54-40. Coming up tonight at 5:30 p.m., Maryville is set to take on Hillsborough, and at 8:45 tonight, you can catch Independence taking on Whitehaven. Let's go to baseball action. Games getting underway at 4 p.m., and they include Gallatin versus Creekwood, Davidson Academy at Gordonsville, Vero Beach out of Florida versus Riverdale. 4:30 showdowns as Father Ryan will travel to CPA. Columbia is at Franklin County. Coffee County is traveling to Loretto. Laverne is on the road this evening at Pearl Cone. And CAK is at Rehoboth, Alabama. Again, that caps your 4:30 first pitches. At 5 o'clock tonight, Frank Hughes is on the road at Santa Fe. South Warren, Kentucky will come to White House at 5 p.m. Franklin Road Christian is on the road at Zion Christian. And at 5:30 tonight, it'll be Westmoreland at Monroe County, Kentucky.
6 o'clock first pitches as Moore County travels to Culleoka. Ezel Harding hosts Cane Ridge. Summertown and Hardin County face off. Also, Clarksville Academy is at Montgomery Central at 6. Mount Pleasant goes to Richland at 6. Siegel hosting Oakland at 6 o'clock. 6:30, Spring Hill is at Tullahoma. I wonder if that game is still on.
Who's still in town? Tullahoma brought a huge crowd here today.
And I would bet there are a few baseball players in this crowd. So this might be a good time for Spring Hill to play them.
Yeah, this is when you want to get that game underway.
Also at 6:30 is Providence Christian and Upperman. Gallatin goes to Friendship Christian. Dixon County is at Green Hill. Overton hosts Lawson. Sycamore goes to Portland. And that's your baseball. Softball action. 5 o'clock start for Lewis County at Battle Creek. Also Mount Juliet hosting Gallatin. Frank Hughes travels to Mount Pleasant. Page is taking on visiting Summit. Pitt County is at Santa Fe. Macon County goes to Westmoreland. Franklin Road Christian is at Zion Christian. At 5:30, Siegel hosts Riverdale. Also, Murfreesboro Central is at Franklin County. At 6 o'clock, you've got Wilson Central going to Laverne. Ezel Harding is at Nashville Christian. And Lebanon is at Smyrna at 6:30. Men's soccer action, 5 o'clock start. Stewart's Creek is at Ezel Harding. Also, Lawson is at Kip Nashville at 5. At 6 o'clock, Forest goes to Culleoka. Providence Christian hosts Gatlinburg Pittman at 6. Columbia Central is playing Spring Hill at 6. I'm not sure where that game is taking place because Spring Hill's field is unavailable. Also at 6 o'clock, Jackson County is at Watertown. Waverly is hosting Creekwood. Battle Creek is at Wayne County. And Hilldale of Oklahoma faces Siegel at 6.
Shout out to Hilldale coming to Murfreesboro, or playing Siegel at least at 8 p.m. tonight. Flag football action getting underway at 7 this evening. Stewart's Creek will tangle with Oakland. At 8 p.m., Oakland will follow up with a matchup versus Riverdale. Also, tonight you'll see Stewart's Creek at Riverdale. So Stewart's Creek, Oakland, and Riverdale all in action in girls flag football here this evening. Midwest Regional action getting underway this evening at 5:50. Tennessee will meet Wofford, and that game will be shown on TNT. More balls a little bit later in our show. Women's college basketball, the NIT cranks up this evening with Lipscomb on the road at Western Illinois. That game gets underway at 6 o'clock. You can see it on ESPN+. In the WBIT, MTSU will be at Belmont this evening. That game tips off at 6:30, and you can also see it on ESPN+. 7 o'clock puck drop tonight. The Ducks, the Preds just went out to Anaheim. Anaheim will make the trip to Nashville tonight. Again, a 7 p.m. Showdown at Bridgestone Arena as the Ducks and Preds get it on. You can see that game on FanDuel Sports South. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of your Thursday schedule. And you know what that means? That concludes the Thursday Rundown.
Story brought to you as always by the fine folks over at Piggly Wiggly at Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And I don't know that the cupboard is bare on John Merritt Boulevard, but Eddie George has certainly taken some familiar faces with him as he goes to Bowling Green State University in Ohio to take over the head coaching role up there. As many as 5 former assistants at Tennessee State will be joining Coach George in his new role as head coach of the Mid-America Conference program up there. Defensive coordinator Brandon Fisher, son of former Tennessee Titans coach Jeff Fisher, is expected to continue in that role at Bowling Green State. Also, associate head coach Joe Bowden, defensive backs coach Richard McNutt, defensive line coach Clyde Simmons are expected to move north with Coach George as well, according to John Bryce of footballscoop.com. Also, offensive coordinator Travis Partridge is heading in that direction. So not only does TSU have to replace a head coach, they're going to have to replace about half their staff as it stands right now.
Yeah, and you thought there would be some coaching turnover, but when you rattle them off all like that, and we talk about kind of how sudden it's kind of been a whirlwind in a sense for TSU, it really kind of hits home, and it really feels even more jarring somehow because, not only are they replacing Eddie, but they're also having to replace. And I mean, this happens obviously anywhere you go, and there was going to be some level of turnover. But man, you didn't necessarily expect this much, and it feels like we could have waited a couple more days. TSU, I mean, we deserve to not just get pummeled with bad news if you're cheering for Big Blue there. So kind of tough, but hopefully, whoever they tab as your new head coach. Presumably there would have been turnover there too, right? I mean, you may not necessarily even want to keep some of your assistants that are already on staff. So part of the process, and it'll be interesting to see how it kind of all shakes out.
It is part of the process. I'm not sure that it's necessarily part of the process in March. Again, as we talked about when we talked about Eddie George taking the position, the timing is not the greatest. So you're losing these guys. Spring practice right around the corner. Not sure who's in place to conduct spring practice at this point. Don't know what the search process looks like right now. Obviously, we've talked about some of the TSU financial issues that I'm sure weighed into A, Eddie George's departure, and B, will weigh into securing a successor.
Yeah, TSU has got a lot of question marks on campus, and man, it just seems like they can't catch a break right now in terms of any real positive quote-unquote news. They're still doing great things on that campus, but it's been tough, at least externally facing. So hopefully, obviously you felt like you had a great find and obviously a household name there with Eddie, but, maybe you can catch lightning in a bottle again here with this hire. And in 2 or 3 years, you're saying, we're kind of glad things worked out the way they did, forest for the trees type situation. And maybe we're sitting here and revisiting that in a couple of years. But yeah, it's a tough time right now
No
for
doubt.
those guys.
They say politics makes for strange bedfellows. I guess football coaching does as well, because not only has Coach George tapped 5 guys from his former staff, he has also tapped a former rival to join him at Bowling Green. Former Tennessee Tech head coach Dwayne Alexander, who spent the past season as an assistant with former MTSU head coach Andy McCollum down at Sewanee, is set to join the Bowling Green coaching staff as well as assistant head coach and tight ends coach. So interesting move. Clearly speaks to the respect that those two had for each other from their days competing in the Ohio Valley Conference. Again, Alexander, a fixture in coaching across the Middle Tennessee area, both at the high school and collegiate level. He was at Tennessee Tech for 6 seasons from 2018 to 2023. Hendersonville native, had served in 2 other stints on the Tennessee Tech coaching staff. Again, also at Sewanee, he was head coach at Cumberland for a time. He's coached at the high school level. Wealth of knowledge. Again, supremely well respected in this area, and exciting move for him.
Yeah, and if you could pull this off, this to me is always the great move, right? Hey, we were enemies, we were mortal enemies once upon a time, but hey, game, respect, game, right? And I'm going to bring you along with me, a chance for us to potentially elevate together. This seems like a great move for Eddie George as he tries to kind of distance himself and obviously get firmly into his new role at BGSU, and then try and, assimilate that staff. Feels like he could have done a lot worse.
I think also it's kind of a nod from a guy who is not as well established, not as experienced as a head coach, to bring someone in with the head coaching experience of a Dwayne Alexander, just adding a little salt to the staff.
Add a little extra salt, a little, intrigue. And Bowling Green, it's going to be interesting to me at least, feels like really at any smaller school, FCS level school, you kind of have to do a lot more behind the scenes than you perhaps do at the bigger schools. And even at the level that Bowling Green is, which is, not exactly a world beater in terms of football reputation, but It's going to be interesting to see how Eddie can now kind of shift his attention even more to coaching, hand off even more a little bit of the day-to-day there, and then kind of, really kind of see what his true football coaching chops are, because you got to do so much behind the scenes. It makes it tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a break here on Throwback Thursday on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return, we'll be joined by Maria Cornelius of Go Vols 24/7. Talking little Lady Vols. Stick around.
Step into the Lionel retail store at Opry Mills, Nashville, and you'll be captivated by all the magic of the 123-year history of Lionel trains. Whether you're already a train enthusiast or just getting started, Lionel will energize your love for trains. NASCAR fan? Come check out your local Lionel station to learn all there is to know about model trains and die-cast NASCAR collectibles. Visit nashville.lionel.com or call 615-455-9399.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
There we go. Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely, still working feverishly on some issues. We continue to come to you from the Murphy Center here on the campus of Middle Tennessee State University, where we've got the boys basketball state tournament ongoing. We're getting ready to tip off Fayette Ware and Knoxville Fulton in the final Class 3A state quarterfinal contest here. Tullahoma just a bit ago finished off Jackson Southside. 68-48 was the final there. So again, Class 3A quarterfinal play wrapping up with this Fayette Ware Knoxville Fulton contest. That'll be followed by 4 games in Class 4A, including Bradley Central and Memphis East, Hillsborough and Maryville, Oak Ridge and Walker Valley, and Independence and Whitehaven in the 8:45 nightcap here. So high school basketball ongoing, college basketball ongoing with the NCAA tournament, and obviously women's basketball getting cranked up as well. You hear me? How are we looking? Not good. Now, hello? Mark, can you hear us? Or better yet, Mark, can we hear you?
Testing.
We're efforting to get Mark and our guest on here.
Yeah.
I apologize, folks.
No, hey, I mean,
I've exhausted
things
my
happen,
resources.
unfortunately. Wade is, again, our technical consultant on all of this, and he is working as feverishly as possible to make sure that we've got audio coming in from our guest. So I'm of no help, unfortunately, but I don't think Wade needs any. If he can get this figured out, he will. So, hey, Mark, what if we go to another break real quick?
Only in Smashville are opponents welcomed with some good old-fashioned Southern hospitality. We'll give you a hand, cheer you on. Hey, we'll even leave a light on.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Still trying to get some technical issues addressed here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We've got Maria Cornelius of GoVols 24/7 set to join us as soon as we can hear her. And for whatever reason, that is being an issue right now as we continue to come to you live from the Murphy Center on the campus of Middle Tennessee State. We've got Knoxville, Fulton, and Fayette Ware playing in a 3A quarterfinal matchup. Right now, Fayette Ware leads this one 4-3. We're about 3 minutes into it. And again, still efforting to be able to bring in Maria Cornelius to talk a little Lady Vols. Do we want to try to log in with our phone and hear her? Ask Mark.
Whatever we can do to bring her in, we certainly would love to. That is for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
You're going to get echo there. Hold on.
I believe we are good, Mark. We hear the music. It is Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We are coming to you from Murphy Center, and we are pleased to be joined by, and we think we can hear, Maria Cornelius of Go Vols 24/7. Maria, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I've been jamming to the music the whole time I've been waiting to get in here. It wasn't bad at all.
Hey, DJ Mark does a great job. We really appreciate his diligence, and we really appreciate you sticking around for us as Wade got this thing figured out as I knew he would. Never a doubt.
The Tullahoma student section blew our speakers out, basically, is what it amounted to, Maria. So we apologize for that. But blame Tullahoma if you want. They got a big victory a minute ago.
Good for them.
Hey,
high
Maria.
school basketball is fun. It's a lot of fun to watch.
It is a lot of fun to watch, especially at this level. You get some really good ball up here, and what we've seen to this point has been no exception. What we're expecting to see tomorrow up in Columbus, Ohio is no exception either, Maria. The 5th seeded Lady Vols making a rare opening round appearance outside of Thompson Bowling Arena, taking on number 12 South Florida. Looking forward to a second round matchup with host Ohio State. Where do you feel like this Lady Vol team is right now? Because again, they are 5 seed. They fell out of the top 4 with a 1-3 finish coming down the stretch, including a tough loss in the second round of the SEC tournament to Vanderbilt after back-to-back losses to close the season at Kentucky and against Georgia on Senior Day.
Yeah, that was a rough way to end the season for the team, for fans. The beauty, of course, of the NCAA tournament is, reset. Punch that reset button, do what I do, unplug it and plug it back in, see if it works that time. So I think they needed the break. Coach Caldwell sounds pretty
happy. I think. You were saying, Maria?
Okay, I didn't know if the audio was okay.
No.
Coach Caldwell sounds, pretty happy. No coach is ever not nervous at this time of year, but she liked the way they looked at practice. She thinks the break, the women get an especially long break between SEC and NCAA tournament. So she thought they made good use of that time, got in the training room, got in the gym, got their legs back. So hopefully things will go well for them up in Columbus, Ohio. As Wes Rucker said, some team needs to have a good postseason in the state of Ohio this 2024-25 calendar year.
Yeah, no doubt. Maria, do you feel like, and maybe we'll know more after this game against South Florida, but do you feel like it's as simple as maybe this team was just a little fatigued from their style of play over the course of the season?
I mean, Kim Caldwell basically said she underestimated the physical toll the SEC would take. And you don't really know it until you're in it. And a lot of these players don't know it until they're in it. There's some veteran kids on this roster who have been in the SEC, but there's also a lot of players who have not played. And like the men, this is the best basketball conference in the country. It is deep. It is hard. It is a place for grown men and grown women.
Tennessee getting to 22-9 on the season heading into South Florida and had some great moments over the course of the regular season. Again, under first-year coach Kim Caldwell, really a lot of encouraging moments and encouraging performances over the course of this season. At the same time, again, that tough stretch to end the year. Does this make Coach Caldwell have to kind of look at her approach overall at some point over this offseason and maybe kind of tweak some things, some ways that they go about things?
I think one thing that will fix it would maybe you tweak practice a little bit. Maybe some of the practices are harder than the game. Maybe you scale back just a little bit. The other thing is injuries hurt them this year. Kaya Wynn being out was a big blow. She is tailor-made for this system, and they need to go deeper. I was looking back at some of the minutes played, like Talasia Cooper, the first matchup against Vanderbilt. I think she went 32, 33 minutes. That's a long time in this system. I think once they get a deeper, even deeper bench, I think it'll work better. And of course, you never know what that's going to look like until we get through portal season and all of that. But we do know there's 5 outstanding recruits coming in. That's a big class. So that's some depth already.
Maria, I want to ask, since you kind of mentioned some players individually there, I'm curious, who in your mind is maybe either due for a little bit of a run, a little bit of a hot streak this postseason, or who maybe needs to go on a little bit of a run or have a little bit of a hot streak in this tournament here for the Lady Vols?
Ruby Whitehorn. She's been awfully quiet to end the season, and she has the ability to change a game. She can score. She's an athletic guard. She can defend. Ruby Whitehorn could really come out for Tennessee in this NCAA tournament. I like Tennessee's chances a lot better. Also, this is her first NCAA tourney. She's a junior. She didn't go. Clemson didn't make the tournament her first 2 years, so she should be motivated on different fronts.
You kind of also talked about the lengthy, and yeah, it does feel extra lengthy layoff between the end of the SEC tournament and then now starting this one. Obviously, in addition to scouting, was Tennessee nursing any injuries? Anybody that maybe got a little healthier, other specifically, or any extra kind of motivation for anybody kind of after that long layoff?
Samara Spencer mentioned it in her media this week that the team was tired. A lot have been in the training room. I listened today to Kim Caldwell, her interview in Columbus, and she said that Samara looks like she's hoping she's fully healed. I mean, not major injuries, but just things that have worn you down over the course of the season. And she thinks maybe she'll have a better physical, mental mindset going into the tournament. I will caution everyone, do not overlook USF. They have a 25-year veteran coach. They have high D1 transfers. They have one player that's made over 100 3-pointers. They like a slow, methodical game. I mean, Tennessee can't get in the hole because they're going to try to slow that game down. Tennessee can't be spotting these double-digit leads before halftime, and they have got to get their defense elevated, half court and full court. So I've heard a lot of people already talking about Ohio State, Tennessee, and I'm like, do not overlook USF. They are a very good team and an NCAA tournament team. They're an experienced team too.
Jose Fernandez has done a good job for a long time down there. Maria Cornelius of GoVols247.com joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. As you talk about those, different styles there, Maria, South Florida wanting to slow it down, Tennessee obviously wanting to get up tempo. I guess it's going to be a battle of wills there, whether or not Tennessee can get South Florida sped up and get them into the tempo that they want to, or whether South Florida is able to dictate things.
And it will start with that full court pressure defense. You want to you want to force 10-second violations or force them out of their comfort zone or force them maybe going deeper into the shot clock than they wanted because they got set up later than they're used to. But it should be a really good game. Tennessee has the capability, as we have seen, of beating anyone. They also have shown the capability of losing to anyone, such as we saw again in the Georgia game. So, hopefully Tennessee has sorted out, and all teams drag themselves to the finish line of the regular season. So hopefully they're good to go now.
Maria, one other thing I wanted to ask you about before we let you go, and we appreciate you taking some time with us, but Kelly Harper getting back into the coaching ranks, getting back into the Southeastern Conference, specifically getting the gig over at Missouri, where she's obviously got some familiarity from her time at Missouri State. Feels like a good hire for Missouri, feels like a good spot for Kelly.
I agree completely. She was really good on television. I had even texted her during the season that you really do this television gig really well, but her passion is coaching. And I think it's a perfect landing spot. Like you said, she's got familiarity with that region. She obviously knows the SEC. I think it's, and it just makes the SEC that much harder. I mean, it is a tough league already, and you've got all these really outstanding coaches in it. But so I'm happy for one quick thing I'll add for what Kim said today, because I listened to it when they did their presser. We talked about the 43 NCAA tournament streak, which is, unheard of. Tennessee's the only school to have never missed the NCAA tourney since it started in 1982. And I asked her about, the pressure of keeping that going. And she laughed and said, yeah, it's nice not to be known as the coach who blew it. So as usual, she's always blunt and to the point. So But it is an incredible streak. Just think about it. No other school has done it. It's a mind-boggling streak for one program to never miss this tournament.
It is a mind-boggling streak, and I mean, it's kind of refreshing to hear a coach say that, because that's kind of the reality of it. I mean, you don't want to be known as the first coach to miss an NCAA tournament at the University of Tennessee.
And I thought Jill Spear, she put it nicely. She goes, the way we look at it now is like a track race, like a relay. We're passing the baton. Other players passed it to us, and we're passing it to the players that come behind us. So, no coach and no team will be the one that brings that thing to a halt. So,
absolutely. You mentioned availability. I thought I saw Destiny Wells is out for the postseason.
Yes, another. This time I believe it's her right leg. She's had one knee. They did not specify the type. We all know she recovered from ACL surgery this past year, and apparently she has a lower leg injury that she sustained in practice, and will not be available for the postseason. And Coach Caldwell said that today. It's sad for her to have a player go through back-to-back injuries like that. And she said she walked off she was hurt, but walked off the practice court on her own. It was trying to get on the bike, and then they obviously did testing and determined that it would be a season-ending injury.
Hate to hear that. Hopefully that'll be a little extra inspiration for her teammates again as they take on 12th seed South Florida in the opening round of the NCAA this weekend up in Columbus. Maria Cornelius of Go Balls 24/7 joining us here on Main Street Sports today. You can find her on Twitter at MM Cornelius. Maria, we appreciate you taking some time with us.
Appreciate y'all. Have fun at the tournament here.
You got it. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hey, when the Throwback Thursday edition of Main Street Sports today, we'll be talking a little more hoops, both from here and elsewhere. Stick around after this break.
Only in Smashville are opponents welcomed with some good old-fashioned Southern hospitality. We'll give you a hand, cheer you on. Hey, we'll even leave a light on.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely, the hero of today's show. I'm Maurice Patton. We are coming to you live from the Murphy Center site of the TSSAA Boys Basketball State Tournaments. And with about 2 minutes remaining in the first half, Fayette Ware leads Knoxville Fulton 24-16 in this final Class 3A quarterfinal matchup of the day. This game was preceded most immediately by Tullahoma defeating Jackson Southside 68-48. Before that, it was Greenville 63, Munford 46, and Upperman with a 54-40 win over Hume Fogg out of Nashville. And as Wade said, 3 fantastic individual performances in those first 3 games.
Yeah, that seemingly got better and better and better. And I was just a touch late getting here, and I missed the Ty Cobb show as the sophomore Mr. Basketball winner did what he does best, right, Mo? And against a very long, very lengthy Hume Fogg team that doesn't give up a lot of points. At one point, he was winning the game all by himself, 24-23 at the end of the third quarter. So Ty Cobb willing that team to victory. He had some help from his friends, of course, as they got that 54-40 win, but it was never really that close. And then for an encore, we saw Mr. Basketball runner-up, I guess, so to speak, but Trey Thompson from Greenville, he put on a show, flirting with the triple-double, 27, 12, and 7, a 3 assists shy, and he probably could have got those, but they were kind of running away toward the end there versus Mumford. Been some great individual performances, been some fun games. So we got Upperman and Greenville already set, and we know Tullahoma's in. Final piece of the puzzle set to be put together here in just a minute. And you got Fulton in the mix. I mean, they're still hanging in this game, but they come in with a record of 18-16. Just going off record, they're the team that's kind of quote-unquote not supposed to be here, but here they are, finding themselves only down 8, versus a really talented Fayette Ware team. So 3A looks like it's going to be fun.
We mentioned Xavier Farrell, the senior from Tullahoma, to follow up on Cobb and Thompson. Farrell, 15-21 from the floor, 2 of 4 from 3, 5 boards, 33 points, 6 steals.
This kid is incredible. He has been a thorn in many a team's side in District 8 AAA. He obviously gave a shot to the nose to Upperman as they won the region tournament as well up there in Cookeville. And he's putting on another great performance. The 3A all-tournament team feels like it could be a loaded one, and it feels like even just after one day of play, we already have 3 clear-cut performers that are going to be going on that ballot.
And here's the thing, man. When you've got a 6'9" guy like an Austin Tennant who contributes 4 points and 5 boards in a 20-point victory, really kind of makes
that ain't supposed to happen.
No, it really kind of makes you have to reconsider your scout priorities when you get ready for this Tullahoma team, as either Fayette Ware or Fulton will be. So that's going to create some interesting matchups, I would think, in Friday's semifinal. This would be the 5:30 contest for Tullahoma and this winner that's on the floor right now, as again, Fayette Ware leads 28-16. We're inside of the final 20 seconds of the first half here.
Hey, and real quick, also, shout out to Munford's Jaden Lee. He fouled out late in the game, but he had 30 points when he departed, too. So, I mean, he was kind of single-handedly keeping Munford in it for a long time. But Greenville just kept hitting. Every time Munford would get it close, back within 5, back within 4, Greenville had an answer. And more often than not, their answer was downtown. There was a stretch there right at the end. They hit back-to-back threes, turned a 6-point lead into a 12-point lead in the blink of an eye, and that was kind of all she wrote. But it's been a fun Thursday as we kind of wrap up the final quarterfinals. But we are destined for some really good semifinal action, I think, especially in 3A.
This evening, again, should be a pretty good bit of fun as well. Again, after this game is over with, we get into the Class 4A quarterfinals. You've got 24-8 Bradley Central, 17-13 Memphis East. I would not be too distracted by that 17-13 record coming out of Memphis. You're going to take some lumps. That's the 4 o'clock game to open Class 4A state quarterfinal action. At 5:30, 31-5 Hillsboro take on 24-12 Maryville. At 7:15, it's Oak Ridge 29-3 and Walker Valley at 30-4. Walker Valley came up here and defeated Laverne in a sectional matchup. Had to come from behind to get that win. The Mustangs did. And in the 8:45 nightcap, again, it is 27-2. Whitehaven taking on defending 4A state champion Independence. The Eagles coming in at 23-12. But I think Mark Wilkins would tell you that they've played their best ball here over the last 3 weeks or so.
And that's what you want, right? I mean, throw the records out. You want to be peaking kind of like Fulton. I mean, barely above 500. But it don't matter how you get to the dance. As long as you got your shoes on and you're here, you got a ticket and you got a chance to cut down some nets on Saturday. So Independence playing some good ball at that moment. That's got to be a sign of positivity, you would think, heading into their big showdown this evening.
NCAA tournament action, first round matchups getting ready to close out. 12 seconds left as Houston leads Southern Illinois Edwardsville 77-40. I think that one's in the bag for the Cougars.
You told me the Cougars would win that game.
Auburn up 10 on Alabama State. Guess it's halftime there. I don't have a time on this. BYU and VCU getting ready to get started. And McNeese, number 12 seed McNeese leads Clemson 18-8 with about 8 minutes to go in the first half there.
Trendy underdog pick was McNeese State, and obviously they've been in the news for a number of different reasons. We talked earlier this week with James Zetta about our boy Amir Khan holding it down, securing the bag for the managers of the world. Not one, not two, but 3 different NIL deals. And then coaching controversy, shocker, when you consider the party involved. But McNeese holding down the fort. Clemson is a good team, but McNeese is sneaky, and maybe we shouldn't be surprised that they're up 10 right now, but still a lot of ball to play.
Still a lot of ball to play, but Will Wade always good for something. The Franklin Road Academy graduate, the Clemson graduate, who is currently beating up on his alma mater there again. McNeese up 18-8, but apparently Will Wade has been offered and has accepted the job at North Carolina State, where he would replace Kevin Keats. So he's getting a little intel on a future rival right now.
Yeah, kind of, perhaps delivering an early sign of things to come in the future. I saw somebody point this out on social a couple nights ago. NC State, for the first time, we've talked many times on this show about kind of like a changing of the guard in the ACC, and there are so many jobs that are kind of coming open or going to come open if they haven't already. Mm-hmm. It feels like NC State, for the first time, was able to get out in front and really make a big, splashy hire, control. They kind of hold all the cards. They don't, have to get the leftovers after North Carolina makes a hire. They don't have to get the leftovers after a Duke or a Wake Forest, makes a hire. They got to kind of control things. And, a little bit of a dice roll, but it feels like if you're okay with that dice roll, and it feels like if you're okay with it in this NIL era now where, past transgressions suddenly don't seem so bad for Mr. Wade. I feel like they probably could have done worse in this situation as they look to maybe reassert themselves in the ACC pecking order.
Past transgressions would not be transgressions.
Correct.
So
just like we talked about with Jim Tressel in Ohio State, suddenly doesn't seem that bad in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, so, if you make somebody a damn strong offer, perfectly fine.
Yeah, you better at this point.
You need to be making, especially if you are North Carolina State. So maybe that's the conclusion they came to. Hey, no harm, no foul. It's a 2025. We're going to roll with Will. He's led McNeese to back-to-back NCAA tournament berths in his 2 seasons down there after being dismissed at LSU for running afoul of some recruiting rules, which, again, should not be an issue going forward. So, nobody has ever questioned Will Wade's ability to coach or recruit.
No, like we've laid out, it feels like this is a great fit for NC State. You kind of got 2 choices, right? You kind of go the risky or aggressive route and, boom or bust. If it doesn't work out, you say, well, we swung for the fences, it came up empty. Or you go with the nice, kind of safe, easy hire. Not too dissimilar to what we just talked about yesterday with what Indiana did. I mean, and NC State has clearly opted kind of for the former on their strategy. I don't know what it will amount to, and I don't know necessarily know how many wins we're talking about here, but it feels like they could have done worse.
And it feels like, to your point, in an Atlantic Coast Conference that is clearly in flux right now, swinging for the fences may not be a bad move. It may not take much to elevate NC State to a top 2 or 3 program in that conference as it currently stands.
That's what struck me is for the first time NC State kind of can not just sit back and get the cookies, the crumbs of the cookie there. So I kind of like this. They kind of get out in front, control things, and we'll see where it goes. And by the way, I mentioned Amir Khan. My man didn't just secure the bag. He secured the food bags as well. His deals were with Buffalo Wild Wings, Tick Pick, but most importantly, Insomnia Cookies. So in addition to his funds, his cake's looking good, but his dessert options are looking real good with some Insomnia behind him. I wonder if he will be following Will Wade to NC State. They probably have even bigger pockets to throw at my man here, going viral as their manager.
One would think. Hour number 1 of Throwback Thursday is in the books here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back for hour number 2, we'll be throwing it back to a recent conversation we had with Titans analyst Mike Herndon. Stick around.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vilay Saisuka, CEO and founder of Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee here in Murfreesboro. We offer foot and ankle care from ingrown toenails to diabetic foot wounds. We also fix ankle fractures and things like that.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Pleased to be joined by Titans analyst Mike Herndon as we kind of get into the silly season to some degree of the NFL this time between the end of the season and the upcoming draft and free agency opening up and all sorts of conjecture, some of it actually even turning out to be true. But Mike, thanks for taking some time with us this afternoon.
Absolutely. Happy to join you guys.
Hey, so far, what have you seen the Titans do that has impressed you, maybe?
I think there is something to be said for remaining patient in the free agent process and not going to splash money on kind of the flashy names that are out there. I mean, they did a lot of that last offseason, and we kind of see how that worked out for them. I go back and forth on the Dan Moore signing. Part of me says, God, that's a lot of money for a guy that's really at best an average tackle in the NFL, average starting tackle.
No, stop, because average is an improvement in Nashville, right?
Okay. It's a big improvement.
It's one of those situations where in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So I mean, there's but yeah, to your point, I see what you're saying. I understand. I just wanted to take another shot at the Titans' offensive line.
Yeah, no, I think they were left in a situation because, I mean, look, we all criticize them, and I was chief among them last year for not doing anything at right tackle, right? And they just let it roll back out there with Nicolas Petit-Frere, and that was a disaster, and they could not do that again. This is not a good draft class for tackles. And so really your option is you've got to go get what's available. And unfortunately, this was not a strong free agent class for tackles either. So they paid the best of what was out there. They paid handsomely to make sure they got him. But at the end of the day, if he comes out and he's not a complete disaster and you're able to put together a competent offense that doesn't have the quarterback on its back every 5 plays, maybe that'll be money well spent. But it was a lot. It was sticker shock. I had a lot of sticker shock with the Dan Moore deal, but we'll see how it works out.
The bar is low.
It is. It's super low.
Yeah. I saw something, Mike, on Twitter, and that's probably my first mistake, but here we go. Marcus Mariota.
I'm not totally against it, and believe me,
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. If you're going to bring Levis back, and now does this mean that you are going to draft a quarterback and you're going to use Marcus in that mentor type situation, or is it Marcus and Levis, or how does that shake out if that is the case?
Yeah, and honestly, if you told me 2 or 3 years ago that I'd been advocating for Mariota to come back, I would have never believed you. But here we are.
Here we are.
They could do a lot worse than Mariota. Honestly, I'd rather watch Mariota than Mac Jones or any of these other guys that, I mean, just, they're going nowhere. Mariota at least can be somewhat exciting to watch sometimes. And I don't think he's going to be a great quarterback here or kind of find that glory of that 2016 season that he had briefly there again. But I'd rather watch him always, he still carries a lot of respect from the fan base. And if you're going to put a bad football product on the field, you might as well get some brownie points for getting a guy that you like out there. But, as far as who, I think he'd be a good mentor for Cam Ward if they choose to go Cam Ward number 1, which I am leaning more and more towards. I think that's what I would do if I was them. I've had to be a little bit talked into Cam Ward as a prospect, but the further we get in this process, and I don't know if it's myself trying to get excited about something and talking myself into it. But there are a lot of positives that I like about Cam Ward's game. And there's some analytics and things like that back that up too, that are favorable for him. So I think Mariota would be a good mentor, but even if they're not going to take Cam Ward, I mean, if you had to go through a season with Marcus Mariota as the quarterback and, you let him compete with Will Levis, is it a good situation? No. But there is no other good situation. They're not interested in Aaron Rodgers, it doesn't seem. They're not interested in Russell Wilson, it doesn't seem. So I think it's going to be one of these guys like a Mariota or a Jameis Winston or a Mac Jones. And if you're going to give me the choice of those, I'm going to take Mariota back.
Mike, I want to ask you, you kind of rattled through the quarterback market there, and it seems like potential trade partners to jump to number 1 for a quarterback are dwindling. We're seeing, a lot of other teams making moves. Are the Titans, whether they want to or not, are they kind of slowly getting this is going to sound weird, but are they getting forced to take number one now at this point if their goal was maybe to trade?
I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Giants because they seem to be the most desperate of the teams, and they're also in the most attractive trade back spot because you only have to drop to 3. You don't have to give up on getting either Hunter or Carter, who are kind of the consensus other two in that top tier. If Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh, which sounds like that's where the momentum is right now, depending on what you believe, what's out there. And then, it's going to be kind of Russell Wilson. Does Russell Wilson go to the Giants then? And then does that change their mind as far as to whether they're going to be desperate to go get Cam Ward? I don't know that would change their mind either way. I think they're going to be pretty motivated to come get Cam Ward. I do think that 2026 first-round pick will go on the table at some point between now and the draft, and it'll be up to the Titans to decide whether they want to take the haul and kind of stockpile ammunition for a later date, or if they want to take the quarterback and kind of go right now. So that'll be a fascinating kind of drama to see play out over the next month.
I'm curious about that. I also want to ask you, you kind of teased this at the very beginning, not seeing maybe necessarily release right now, those splashy free agent signings that we saw last year from Tennessee. We hadn't seen a lot of those until last year. So I'm curious, is that kind of maybe, hey, we tried that strategy last year and it didn't necessarily work out? Or is it more of a function of, hey, we got the number one pick, we don't necessarily need to sign as many high-profile free agents? I'm curious kind of what their strategy maybe is with free agency.
I think they've talked about wanting to be a draft and develop team, which, to be honest, every NFL
doesn't everybody say that?
Develop team. Yeah, nobody wants to use free agency as the way to build a roster, but I think they do need. They still need to They need to plug some holes. I put out a kind of list of all the positions on the roster right now on Twitter earlier, and kind of listed the guys that I felt like were capable starters in those spots, and I've still got 7 holes as far as in the starting, 11 on each side of the ball that I'm looking at going, I don't know who you're playing there. Yes, Will Levis, technically you could start at quarterback today, but nobody wants to start him at quarterback. Treylon Burks, you could technically start him at wide receiver today, but nobody wants to start Treylon Burks at wide receiver. So I'm not putting those guys in there, but I think they need 2 wide receivers. I think they need a right guard. I think they need a quarterback on offense. Then on defense, they need 2 edge rushers because I don't think Arden Key is a full-time starter. I think if you get him down to where he's a third guy, he's a very good third guy. Mm-hmm. I don't like him as a 2 or a 1. And then I think they need a safety to start next to Monty Hooker. So if you can plug those 7 spots, maybe get a little bit of depth filled in there. And look, 7 spots is a lot to plug, but I think you can try to go get some meat and potatoes kind of guys. Like you're not going to get the steak, that's out there. They've already passed on that wave, and that's fine because that's often where mistakes are made in free agency. But if you can go get some, kind of meat and 3 guys that are going to make in that, $5 to $10 million range a year and not the $20 million range, you can fill out a decent roster at least get a passable product on the field for this year, and then use the draft to get your superstars. That's where your stars are going to come from anyways.
You can fill up on meat and 3s and really enjoy it. Mike Herndon joining us here on Main Street Sports today, talking little Titans. Mike, I want to go back to a comment that you made a second ago in reference to last year's free agency signings, because did the Titans miss or did they just catch some bad breaks?
And, it's a fair question because I don't even know that they necessarily missed because a lot of the best players on the team last year were free agent signings. Calvin Ridley and Pollard were 2 of the best players they had. Even guys like Sebastian Joseph Day, who they just brought back, he was a good signing. He came in, played a role, was a good player for them. You could say that they certainly missed on Snead because of the injury issues, and he wasn't playing great football before that. Awuzie, again, injuries, was okay when he was playing out there. So they had some hits, they had some misses. I think Quadre Diggs played good football here. I wouldn't be upset at all if they wanted to bring him back, frankly, as that other safety next to Amani Hooker, depending on kind of how they feel about his bill of health. But I guess it's fair. They probably didn't really miss so much on free agency as, they were failed by the spots that they didn't fill, the right tackle spot, some of those positions that they just kind of punted. Right guard too. I mean, letting Radens kind of just take that spot by default almost. They should have done more, maybe you could say, in free agency, and that was where they let themselves down.
They have re-signed, as you mentioned, Sebastian Joseph Day. They also re-signed cornerback Daryl Baker and Andrew Rupchick on that offensive line. Those are kind of depth moves more than anything, aren't they? Particularly Baker and Rupchick.
For sure, yeah. And I liked Daryl Baker last year. I thought he played good football for them. He played more than what they really probably wanted him to, but I thought they got a lot out of him. And frankly, that position group, if you look at it top to bottom, with Sneed, Awuzie, McCreary, Brownlee, and Baker, that's 5 you can go to. You can go to the season right now with that 5 and be happy with that. That's the one position group where I'm like, don't have to touch it. Now, I will say you could probably draft one because you could always use a young one, especially with Awuzie. Probably not going to be here beyond this season. I think this season will be his last year here, most likely, partially because I think Brownlee's going to push him out of a job sooner than later. But you could always use a little bit more depth at that spot. But they're in good shape there.
Also re-signed Morgan Cox. I mean, and that's probably about all the time I want to devote to a long snapper, but I guess you got to have one, right?
You got to have one, and they don't have any snap issues. They never have any snap issues, on special teams, which is the one thing that you can kind of rely on out of the Titans special teams the last few years. And then two, I think there's something to this, and it's a theory I'm working on. I haven't fleshed it all the way out, but I think a long snapper may be more critical to kicking accuracy than we give him credit for. Because if you look at that, Nick Folk and what his struggles were, like he had some down seasons, in at times, earlier in his career. But then he gets with Morgan Cox, a very reliable long snapper, and his accuracy is, it's pinpoint, right? You get the holder, it's that whole machine of the snap to the hold to the kick. And part of the reason I'm a University of Texas grad and fan, Texas's kicker, Bert Auburn, was really good as a junior. And then this past season fell off the map. Well, the biggest change in the deal was their long snapper and their holder changed. Oh. And so I think that the whole operation from long snap to hold to kick is critical, that those guys are all in sync and good working together. So I think that position, it's not just not.
I look forward to your Excel spreadsheet when you put that all together somehow. There will be some good data. And 5 times, I know this is not boiling it down, but even at the high school level, some teams can't even attempt a field goal because the snap just doesn't get there. And so you don't even give your kicker a literal chance to kick it. Translate that to the NFL or especially college. Like you said, Auburn was down. And those
they were talking about
issues.
Replacing him during the postseason. Yeah.
And he was nails for them the year before. So, and the biggest change was just the long snapper and the holder changed, and it fell off the map.
Okay. Mike Herndon analyzes the Titans, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Looking across the league, across the AFC South, we're talking about the quarterback situation here. Apparently, Indianapolis has signed Daniel Jones, and they're throwing open the quarterback competition between he and Anthony Richardson. Has Indianapolis done anything other than admit we screwed up with this pick?
I think they're admitting it. They gave a lot of money to Daniel Jones. So if it's for them to pay him, I think it was up to 17 or 18 million, somewhere in there, which, we'll see where the guarantees fall, all that stuff. Typical free agency caveats apply, but that's a lot of money to be able to bring him in. So I think they're at least admitting that they're concerned about Richardson to a pretty heavy degree there, because they had to outbid the Vikings, who apparently were pretty interested in Jones as well.
He finished up the year with them, right?
Hey, yes, he did. Yep.
What do you make of the Eagles and the Browns swapping DTR and Kenny Pickett?
That's an interesting move as well. I've been a big Dorian Thompson-Robinson fan ever since he came out of UCLA. I liked him in the draft as kind of a draft and develop backup type. And so I think he's got some talent. I know he did not play that very well when he did get an opportunity to start in a regular season game.
That might have been more a function of Cleveland than him, though.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, look, they've made a lot of quarterbacks look bad over the years there. So, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I think is much better than Kenny Pickett. I know Kenny Pickett's got the pedigree, but if you're giving me the choice between those two today, I'm gladly taking DTR.
And might it be a situation where he more closely resembles Jalen Hurts as well?
Oh, I definitely think so. Yeah, I think it's helpful to have a little bit of a like-for-like replacement in your quarterback. You can run the same offense. You can run the same. DTR is not the as physically strong as Hurts is. You're not probably going to run the tush push as much with DTR at quarterback. He's a little bit slighter, but he can run. And he gives you some of that QB run game element that Hurts brings to the table. And I think that allows you to be a little bit more stable when you have to go to a backup quarterback rather than we're throwing out this playbook and here comes the new playbook for the new quarterback. That's a tougher transition on everybody.
Mike, I want to ask you too. We opened the segment talking about the Titans and signing guys on the offensive line. What in the heck is going on down in Houston as they released Shaq Mason earlier this week, and it seems like Tunsil's on the move as well? Break that down for us.
Yeah, Tunsil's on the move, and so is Kenyon Green, their first-round pick from a couple years ago. So they've gotten rid of 3 of their starting offensive linemen, I guess, from the beginning of last season. They clearly were not happy with that group. Tunsil had a bunch of penalties last year, but that's kind of always been a thing with him. False starts, holding, that kind of thing. But he doesn't give up sacks. He does not give up sacks. Great pass protector. But they struggled on that group as a whole. I mean, they struggled to protect Stroud. I think most people kind of view Stroud's year 2 downturn as largely a function of the offensive line falling apart, which is kind of strange because it was mostly the same guys the year before. So I don't know. I had, part of me thinks some of that is the offensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick, maybe, not adjusting as well in year 2 and people catching up to him a little bit. But they've decided that offensive line was a problem, clearly, because they have ripped that thing out at the root and are starting fresh with that group, which is an interesting choice. Again, I mean, we've talked about the struggles the Titans have had, but the Texans have a lot of starting offensive linemen to fill all of a sudden, and there's not a lot of options out there, as we found out.
That's what kind of struck me is, we Mo and I had talked about the Mason release earlier this or late last week, but maybe one guy, maybe 2, but it just feels rare to see this many starters kind of on the move.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think that their center was kind of their weak point. At least going into last season, that was the way it was viewed. Juice Scruggs, who I guess he'll be back maybe. But it's now we're down to him and Titus Howard, I guess, is the only returning starters, which those were I think largely viewed as the 2 holes in their offensive line previously. So I have no idea what the Texans are doing with that. That is a very strange offseason that they are starting down there, and we'll see where it goes from here. But that's the Tunsil move was a shocker to me.
As you mentioned, strange off seasons, you kind of opened the door for this one, Mike. Who's having the stranger off season, the Houston Texans or the Seattle Seahawks?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Seattle is like a identity crisis going on up there. Getting rid of Geno to sign Sam Darnold. I get Darnold is a lot younger, and maybe they just think that they can, change that. But then you get rid of DK, you get rid of Tyler Lockett. I mean, it's going to be a whole new team up there too. You've got Jackson Smith and Jigba, who I still am high on. I was high on him in the draft a couple years ago when he came out, and still think he has the goods to be a number one wide receiver. But he's going to have to be now because they've got nobody else.
Sure.
And it's going to be a big difference for Sam Darnold going from Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson and that offensive line to going what they got in Seattle. That is going to be a culture shock for him, I think, going into that kind of system with very few pieces in place. Certainly not of the caliber. You know, he was driving a Maserati last year. Now he's down in Honda Accord. So we'll see how he likes that.
My thought is maybe are they, you know, especially Darnold, who we saw go out in flames at the end of the season, by getting rid of the receivers, are they maybe taking on, you know, run first more? Maybe if you sign a guy like Darnold, if you don't ask him to do too much, he can't really make that many mistakes. It's kind of the way maybe it doesn't make sense really, but that's the only kind of logical thing that I can maybe come up with is maybe they are going to identity crisis and kind of shift into running game more.
Maybe, yeah. They've got a defensive-minded head coach up there, Mike McDonald, who I like a lot. I think he's a very sharp coach, and they had a pretty good season last year too. Is the thing. So I'm not sure why the big push was there for them to suddenly just kind of change directions with that thing, unless it's just I don't know, like a conflict between McDonald and Gino and DK, and there's some sort of, oil and water thing going on up there where just personalities were clashing or something. But it seems pretty shocking to me that they've just turned this other direction. I'm not sure I can, fully wrap my mind around that one. To be honest, it's an odd deal.
It's pretty stark, really.
Yeah.
Mike Herndon, who analyzes the Titans, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Mike, we appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon, and keep your phone on. We might be reaching back out between now and the draft just to see if there's any tea leaves to be read or any smoke signals to be read as far as what's going to happen with that number one pick. So we appreciate it.
Happy to do it, guys. Thanks for having me, and sorry for all the long snapper talk.
It's all good. Hey, as we got into it, though, it kind of made sense, and I'm kind of looking forward to whatever you dig up on that, actually. So
that may be an off-season project of mine here. Yeah,
love it. Thank you, Mike.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, y'all.
Only in Smashville are opponents welcomed with some good old-fashioned Southern hospitality. We'll give you a hand, cheer you on. Hey, we'll even leave a light on.
Welcome back to Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We are coming to you from the Murphy Center here on the campus of Middle Tennessee State University as the boys basketball state championships continue. We have got the final 3A state quarterfinal matchup going here. Fayette Ware with a 49-36 lead over Knoxville Fulton. Just under 3 minutes to play in regulation here. And we're pleased to have with us here on Coach's Corner, Columbia State men's basketball coach, bound for Hutchinson, Kansas, site of the NJCAA Division I National Tournament. Winston Neal joining us here with his Atlanta Hawks quarter zip on. Atlanta native Winston Neal joining us. Coach Neal, where exactly are y'all?
We are at Missouri State University. Coach Martin was kind enough to let us come practice here today. So we're about halfway to Hutchinson.
There you go. All right. I should have gotten out an atlas before we got you on. Where exactly is Hutchinson, Kansas?
You know what? It's near Wichita. It's
Okay.
near. That's what it's near. It's near Wichita. That's all
It's
I
near
know.
Wichita. Okay, gotcha.
We've got about 7 more hours on this bus before we get there.
You sound excited.
Yeah, extremely.
Yeah, hey, I was going to ask you off top, Coach. The last time you were on this show, you had just got back from the Olympics in Paris. Were you more excited about being in Paris or perhaps a 15-plus hour bus ride to Kansas?
Listen, I'll take this bus ride any day of the week. If that answers your question.
I thought that'd
There
be
are
your
a lot
answer.
of folks out there that would like to be in our shoes at this moment in time, so we are extremely blessed. And you know what? We're going to take it.
And with that said, congratulations, Coach. Again, TCCAA/Region 7 champions heading out to Hutchinson, Kansas. It's, it's kind of like Omaha for college baseball. If you say Hutch in the JUCO basketball world, everybody knows what you're referring to. Everybody knows what it means, and it is really revered. So, second time that Columbia State has qualified for that tournament in your tenure. First time to actually get to go.
Going, though. Yeah, knock on wood. I've been waiting for another pandemic or outbreak to happen so we don't get to go again. We said multiple prayers that we would be able to get out here and play this time around.
Yeah. At what point, Coach, did you feel like this was a team that had a legitimate shot at making this trip?
Probably towards the end of November, because we had beaten some really good teams up until that point. December tested me a little bit, but when we after beating Pensacola, and then when we started getting on a run there and winning a bunch in a row, you started having a feeling that, hey, this is a team that's got a chance. This is a team that could go all the way, right? It was just, but you still, every game, you prepare like every game is a must win. And but you kind of felt that, hey, we had the pieces to make a run.
Also, Coach, you hear a lot of across really all levels of basketball, teams that are in that must-win mode. In some ways, you feel a little sense of relief now that you're finally there and you can maybe perhaps play some of your better or, less stressed, I guess, basketball. I guess speak to the psyche of your team as they make this trip out there right now.
Well, I'll be honest, this has been a special team because they have been loose. Like the pressure, I don't think has ever gotten to them. They always seem to respond. They always seem to compete. And for me as a coach, I feel a lot more relief. I think they've just played loose the whole time this year. But for me personally, my stomach hasn't churned since we won the championship. It's been one of those things where, hey, listen, I'm excited to go. I'm excited to compete. I'm excited to see how we stack up against the best of the best.
Your stomach hasn't churned since you won the championship, but I feel like your stomach was probably churning on Monday when you were playing Rome, because I saw that you guys were leading that game 35-14 at halftime, and then I saw that you won it 74-71 in overtime, and I thought, oh, my God.
Oh, no, it was an interesting one.
This?
It was definitely an interesting one, right? And that's where I always go. I felt like we were playing well. Even in the second half, we were playing well. They just made some shots that were amazing. And teams get on that roll, and no timeout, no change of defense, nothing can keep them from making a shot. And Rome got into that mode, and we were very, very blessed to pull that one out. That's for sure.
And I guess every team that gets to Hutch has a moment like that, has a game like that you had to survive some kind of way to get through.
Yes. No, sometimes it's more than one, right? And for us, this time around was the first two rounds. We basically survived the first two rounds. The championship game, we came out with everything clicking, everything firing. We were fantastic in the championship game.
And I will tell you that for those of you who didn't get to see this team this year, when they were clicking, they were something to watch. And I think it's going to be fun to kind of see that on a national stage here over the next few days.
Exactly. And I hope we do that because I want to put the best foot forward. I want us to put our best foot forward, show everybody that, Columbia State is a nationally ranked team. We are as good as people have said we are. We want to show everybody that we're that good.
Coach, I got to ask you too. I'm always fascinated, especially at the small college level. What's it been like in your days on campus, and then kind of what sort of crowd and support section? How many folks are maybe going to attempt to make the trip out and cheer you guys on?
Apparently we have a bunch of folks coming out for the game. They're braving that trip, and they're going to come out and support their Chargers. It's funny. We always get support around our campus, right? From administration all the way down. We feel loved and supported all the time, right? It was just special yesterday to send off. We probably had 70 to 80 people from the campus there to send us off, and that was a nice touch. Them cheering and as we walked out to the bus, that was a great touch. I got to thank everybody for it. Everybody from the president all the way down to the baseball team was absolutely fantastic sending us off yesterday.
Winston Neal, Columbia State men's basketball coach, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports Today. The Chargers getting ready for their opening round national tournament appearance against Triton College out of Illinois. Now, Winston, you can tell me hopefully a little bit more about Triton College, because all I know about them is a guy I used to work with, Andy Humbles, pitched at Triton College, and Kirby Puckett, who starred for the Minnesota Twins, was NJCAA Player of the Year his 1 year at Triton College. That's the extent of my knowledge, and it's all baseball. Tell me about Triton's basketball team.
So Triton's basketball team the last 2 years has been fantastic. If I'm not mistaken, they made it to the championship game last year in Hutch. Either Final Four or championship game, if I'm not mistaken. They were fantastic last year. This year they were fantastic. They got ranked as high as number 2 during the season. They have a bunch of guards that really shoot it, a bunch of bigs that shoot it. They got an at-large bid. Three Rivers upset them in the championship game, and they were fortunate enough to get an at-large bid. So that tells you just how good they are. They're a top 10, top 5 team in the country.
And when you say they got an at-large bid, tell me why it is, because I'm not as familiar with junior college basketball across the country. Tell me why it is that Tennessee junior college basketball is not as highly regarded as some other areas maybe.
It's a mystery to me, Maurice, because we have been really good. We've won a lot of games out of Hutch as a conference. We've done a lot of really good things. That's why I want us to go out there and put our best foot forward, because if we can go on a little run and win a couple games, that just elevates our conference even more nationally. Because I think it's fairly obvious to everybody in Tennessee just how good the Tennessee junior colleges are. We want everybody to know nationally that we are that good.
In fact, this is Columbia State's 4th national tournament berth in the last 12 years. Again, they did not go in 2020 due to the pandemic, but Penny Collins took teams out there in 2014 and 2015, and each of them won at least a game out there.
Yep.
So,
they won. Yeah. We've historically been winning. As a conference, we come out here and win a game or two most times. And, we want to keep that tradition up. We want to see if we can't win a couple more and put us on the map as a conference, as a school. Like I said, we want to show everybody that just how good we are.
Besides going out there as a team and showing everybody how good you are, obviously getting out there on that national stage helps some of your guys get to the next level, because there will be a number of 4-year programs represented out there looking for talent.
Oh, there'll be 300 coaches at our game, easily, all levels. Pretty much everybody in the country is going to be out there, either out there or watching the tournament.
So do you have transcripts and that kind of thing that you can hand out as while you're out there? Or how does that work? Because I know
they will reach out to me and I'll send it to them. Very, very simple, right? The coaches will, and quite frankly, Maurice, a lot of these Division I coaches have no idea what they need right now. In a matter of, I think it's 4 days, that portal opens, and they'll start figuring out what they really need.
Which is kind of where we are with transfer portal and everything else right now, I guess. Is that right?
Oh yeah, no, it's gonna be fast and furious in 4 days.
That said, on your end, how does this help recruiting?
Oh, I mean, obviously it puts us on a national stage. We're involved with a lot more kids than we normally have been involved with. There are a lot of kids, reaching out to me, and that's always a good thing when people, know who you are without having to tell them who you are. That always helps.
It's a massive accomplishment for you guys, Coach. In this layoff, did you have a chance? I just asked this with our guest talking about the Lady Vols. They had a lengthy layoff before they get ready to get cranked up in their tournament. Speak to us about injury concerns. As I see you're on the move there about Missouri State, but team healthy, team rested, team focused.
Well, we had one young man twist his ankle early in the week, and we had an X-ray, and we just got a call a little while ago, and I'm going to walk to the bus because everybody's waiting on me now.
And they can't leave without you, Coach. That's good.
It's going to be a 7-hour ride, fellas. We need to get moving, right? So, I'll be honest. After we won the championship, I drove straight to B&A, on a flight at 5 a.m. to California, and went to Disneyland with my kids for 3 days for their spring break. I gave everybody off because after the tournament, we were so beat up, we needed some time off.
And when he says we were beat up, he means we, because as soon as they get back from Hutch, Coach Neal has got to get a meniscus addressed.
No, that's exactly right. Surgery is April 4th. We've already got that scheduled. We got to take care of that.
Well,
so I can walk again.
Painlessly. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm sure Disneyland.
Stairs are my nemesis right now.
Oh,
Going on downstairs is painful.
I'm sure Disneyland on that was fun as well, but the things we do for our kids, right?
Oh yeah, listen, they're young enough to where you can't get these years back. You need to take the opportunity to spend it with them. You're making life memories for them. They'll always remember that.
And I'm sure you guys will always remember this trip to Hutch, and hopefully it'll be a happy bus ride back. Coach, congratulations. Thank you for taking some time with us, and good luck over these next few days.
Yes, sir. Thank you all for having me on.
Absolutely. Alrighty. Thank you, Coach.
And everybody's in the back. Hey, everybody say hi.
Good luck, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, fellas.
All right. Hey, before we dip out of this segment, we've got a couple of our weekly awards that we need to give away. Our Custom Stone Handlers In to Win Life Team of the Week is the Battle Creek baseball team. They swept 3 games this past week. This is the first year Battle Creek Grizzlies of Spring Hill, again, going 3-0 on the week and earning our Custom Stone Handlers In to Win Life Team of the Week honors. Besides the military, there's no greater team building function than sports. Custom Stone Handlers invite y'all to get in the game. Congrats again to the Battle Creek Grizzlies, our In to Win Life Team of the Week. Our Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia Player of the Week is Columbia Central junior infielder Jack Beck. Last week in 4 games, he hit .667, 8 for 12, 3 home runs, 2 doubles, and a triple. I'll let y'all figure out that slugging percentage over 12 ABs. 13 ribs, 7 runs scored, and the Lions went 3-1 over those 4 games. So again, congratulations to Columbia Central junior shortstop Jack Beck, our Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia Athlete of the Week. Congrats to the Battle Creek Grizzlies baseball program, our Custom Stone Handlers In to Win Life Team of the Week. 57-49, Fayette Ware just finished taking care of Knoxville Fulton in the final 3A state quarterfinal here at Murphy Center. We now have on the floor Bradley Central and who is this red team?
Memphis East.
Memphis East. There we go. Bradley Central and Memphis East warming up for the 4 o'clock Class 4A state quarterfinal. Let's take our final break of the day. We will come back here on Throwback Thursday on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We'll get into the grab bag. Stick around.
Hi, I'm Riley, a certified physician associate here at Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee. We have a couple locations, Murfreesboro, McMinnville, as well as Franklin. We treat people of all ages. We're excited to get you back on your feet and hope we can help you today.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Segment of the Throwback Thursday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. It's time to get into the grab bag to close things out. You are an NBA guy, so you had probably heard of Sandro Mamukelashvili before last night.
You give me way too much credit, partner.
Okay.
I stopped watching the Spurs once Wemby went down.
Okay. Well, might want to watch the Spurs because Sandro Mamukelashvili, Mamukelashvili, established a record for the most points scored with less than 20 minutes played in a ball game during San Antonio's 120-105 win over the Knicks last night. And I guess my question would be why he played less than 20 minutes, but 34 points in 19 minutes.
Oh, mama.
Yeah. Did not play at all in the first quarter. Scored 13 points in the second quarter. Did not play at all in the third quarter. Scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. That was a career high for Sandro, the former Seton Hall player. And it feels like everything that Flavor Flav touches these days turns to gold. Apparently, these two became close through a mutual financial advisor that they share.
Mm-hmm.
And Flavor Flav is Sandro's hype man. He told him, I'm coming out to see you in San Antonio. Sandro apparently told him, well, you can come on, but it ain't going to be no fun. Well, it was.
Put on a show.
Because he scored 34 points in 19 minutes. 13 of 14 from the floor, 7 of 7 from 3. I mean, again, 13 points in the second quarter, didn't play in the third. He was 8 of 8 from the floor, 4 of 4 from 3 in the fourth quarter. He finished. Hang on. Okay, so he became the 4th player in NBA history to shoot 90% from the floor, 100% on three-pointers, and 100% from the line.
Whew.
The other 3, Tyrese Halliburton,
yeah,
Gary Payton, and Charles Barkley.
Pretty good company, right?
3rd San Antonio player to go 7 of 7 or better on threes. The other 2, Matt Bonner and Steve Smith.
What a performance by Sandro. Like you said, man, just absolutely a flamethrower.
Yeah.
And I was watching this score because San Antonio was throttling the Knicks in the first half, but I didn't know I was potentially privy to greatness had I tuned in. That's just eye-popping stuff. And, with San Antonio, kind of realistically, not really any playoff aspirations. As a matter of fact, they probably don't want to make the playoffs at this point. You want to try and potentially increase your lottery chances. But that is a wild win versus the Knicks. But I do take a small amount of offense because you mentioned everything that Flav touches turns to gold. I was rubbing shoulders with Flavor Flav on my flight to Vegas a couple weeks ago. I didn't win squat out there at the craps table.
See, you ain't even told me that, though.
Well, I mean, he was on my flight. I texted you that weekend. I said, Flav was on the flight, man. The chain tipped me off to it. He immediately, at the baggage claim, and this is how I knew he had it like that, he immediately is inserting $100 bills while waiting on his bag. Why he was flying Southwest, that's a different story, perhaps for a different day. It's hard out here for everybody.
Well, Southwest has probably fixed that, though, with some decisions they've made.
He may not be flying Southwest anymore, but didn't win a lick at the craps table, even though it would have been nice if Flav had given me that bump. So Sandro got all the luck. I didn't get any. And I'll be curious to see, with kind of, I guess where I was going with my point a minute ago, if San Antonio is going to essentially tank, quote unquote, why not, trot this guy out? We've seen some teams over the years. You kind of develop a little bit of a fan favorite and show some love to the guy. 19 minutes nuclear performance last night. Unbelievable.
In true Flavor Flav approach, in the middle of Sandro's postgame interview, Flav comes up. I don't care what nobody says. My man is on fire. And he was.
He was in fuego. And they held on for the win. Like I said, whether they wanted to win that game or not, who knows? But that's a bad loss for the Knicks. That is for sure. Potentially.
May not be the greatest win for the Spurs
may not be
either.
A great win for the Spurs, but it's definitely a bad loss for the Knicks. Great performance, though. Unreal effort and unreal story.
Absolutely. When last we saw Byron Leftwich, he was being passed over for the Jacksonville Jaguars head coaching job for Doug Peterson. And we see how that worked. Well, anyway, Leftwich is back, as is everybody else, it feels like, in Boulder, Colorado, with Coach Prime. He's going to be a member of the offensive coaching staff for the University of Colorado. Been an offensive coordinator in the league, but Pat Shermer holds that title with the Buffs. So I guess he'll be working with the offense in some capacity out there. But, I mean, again, Byron Leftwich, Marshall Falk, Warren Sapp, Dion is together a staff of guys that it's like, if you have aspirations of going to the league, why would you not want to play here and play under the tutelage of some of these folks?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great recruiting strategy in my mind, right? And it feels like Dion has shifted he was recruiting the star players, and he's still getting his fair share, but now he's also recruiting star coaches. So he's trying to corner the block a little bit in that sense. And, you could do a lot worse. Leftwich especially. Leftwich of all those that you just mentioned is by far the most accomplished in terms of coaching. Right. And, Warren Sapp's the offensive quality control analyst. I mean, whatever that title is. But, the fact remains those are some big names. But Leftwich has got the bona fides, and I'll be fascinated to see how he potentially parlays this into whatever his next move is.
Right, yeah.
I'm more fascinated by that than I am what Colorado gets out of the deal because, it felt like he was kind of shortchanged in many regards.
Just a bit. WBIT action tonight, 6:30 at the Kirby Event Center. The Middle Tennessee State Lady Raiders, the Belmont Bruins, a couple of teams that feel a little spurned probably in terms of the NCAA tournament. MTSU dropping a tough one in the Conference USA Finals to Liberty. Belmont falling in their conference finals as well. Belmont won this game 65-52 back in December. And so this Lady Raider team going on the floor tonight has a couple of scores to settle, I would dare say.
Yeah, you would imagine they're going to try and this is a game to kind of, take out some frustration perhaps, but also kind of reestablish a little positive mojo heading into next season. And I'm going to be curious to see. Our buddy Chris Phillips has stopped by the studio yesterday. He said he couldn't make it to Glass House today. He said, partner, I got to get my daughter Colby Gray. I got to get her scooped up, and we got to get over to cheer on the Lady Raiders tonight. So he's scooting over to check them out. Hopefully they'll get a big win, and hopefully the good vibes will kind of be restored to that program because that was a frustrating way to regular season and tournament.
It really was. We talked earlier in the week about Spencer Strider striking out 6 2 2/3 innings in his return from elbow surgery for the Braves. You talk about Strider, you talk about Cy Young winner Chris Sale, kind of lost in the shuffle a little bit, but certainly a more than solid back of the rotation starter. Spencer Schwellenbach, who in normal seasons would have been a Rookie of the Year candidate last year. Well, he reminded folks, hey, I'm still here and I'm still pretty good. 10 strikeouts in 6 scoreless innings against the Yankees yesterday.
Yeah, if this is a guy, it doesn't feel like the whole season hinges on him by any means, but you are really hoping for another strong season, a no sophomore slump. And then with him suddenly as a major kind of fulcrum right there in the middle of that rotation, yeah, you could do some real damage if he keeps up that great form. And it sounds like he, at least in spring training, has got it going on.
Yeah, I think he's got like 18 strikeouts and 2 walks in spring training. One of those yesterday. So, yeah, like you said, no real signs of a sophomore slump for Spencer Schwellenbach at this point. Hopefully he can continue that. And there's pressure, but there's not pressure because Sale is going to be your number one. Once Strider gets back, he's going to be 1A. But, again, Schwellenbach is certainly an arm that has shown you're going to have to deal with him.
Yeah, a little baptism by fire last year, right? Mm-hmm. And so, in theory, the pressure and the expectation should be a little reduced this year. And, maybe that amounts to another strong season. Should be fun to kind of keep tabs on him.
Absolutely. We have, again, Memphis East and Bradley Central in the first Class 4A state quarterfinal here at Murphy Center. Just getting started. No score, about 30 seconds into it. We'll let y'all know tomorrow at 2 o'clock how this one and these other 4A quarterfinal matchups come out. Be sure and join us at 2 o'clock tomorrow as we come to you again from the Murphy Center here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Enjoy your NCAA tournament games. We will see y'all tomorrow afternoon.